Rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we do welcome you to the Sports Reel podcast, live here on the PFC Entertainment Network, along with Tim Sheridan. I'm Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here. And as we have become accustomed, we are live streaming this across the platforms of our network. Of course, you may be watching us on YouTube, Riverside.fm, or as most of you who are tuning in, over on our Facebook page. In just a moment, I'm going to be posting the link in the live chat, and that will give you the opportunity to
Let's see if it works this week.
Yeah, join the show
Did chat,
live.
when you guys did, was chat working when you guys did the Fatal 4-Way? Or not
Yes,
the Fatal
sir.
4-Way, but the hot tag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was last week was a weird week for Riverside, and I did get a notification earlier in the week that they were going to be doing more upgrades to their system. So I don't know if that has. I gotta believe that has something to do with it. But yeah, Riverside was weird. We did do an impromptu live stream of the hot tag on Sunday, I guess it was. And yeah, I could see the live chat. Sean could see the live chat. So why we couldn't last week, I don't know. But we do have I do have multiple windows open, so we're gonna be able to correspond. And if you don't want to be on the show, but you still have an opinion, you have a thought or a concern or a question, feel free to join the conversation. That's what this is all about. Before we get into this week's sports headlines, and there's several of them, we're still in the midst of the Stanley Cup Finals. We're in the midst of the NBA Finals. We're going to be looking at that. The Detroit Tigers are continuing their dominance over Major League Baseball. We're going to be looking at that. I've got to believe that it was a good weekend in golf. So we're going to get Tim's his weekly golf report. And we'll see what's going on with the Professional Bowlers Tour as well.
Yeah, as long as Dave shows up today. I know that's a Dave request every week. So
right. But before we get into all that, man, I know we talked a little bit before we came on the air, but how's things going? How's your week been?
Like I was telling you, it's been kind of a shit week. I had my cousin TR passed away this past Thursday, so almost a week ago. I think it was Thursday night. It was a weird call from my brother at like 11 o'clock at night, who never really calls me at 11 o'clock at night. So I was like, what the hell's going on? He knows I'm usually in bed. But he called to tell me that my cousin has passed. So 31 years old. It's rough. He had I think she's 8-year-old little daughter. I feel for her. I feel for my aunt having to lay him to rest. I feel for my uncle who has to lay his only son to rest a few days before Father's Day. And
God damn it.
I feel for my grandma, who's had to not only lay 2 of her own sons to rest, but now a grandson. So our family's hurting. We've had a lot of hurt over the last like 10 years, and I just it's a hard one to get past, and it's been kind of bugging me all week long. I haven't really posted much about it on Facebook because I couldn't find it's like at some point you don't even know what to say, you know what I mean? So you don't want to say something stupid. So I wanted to come on here and, my family's hurting and we'll get through it. But, if anybody could send some prayers for my cousin there and for my aunt and And for my cousin's daughter, it would be huge. She's got to grow up without a dad now, and that's just a shitty thing. But other than that, it's been a shit week at work. But I mean, that's not that abnormal. It's work. Who actually likes going there?
Right.
But yeah, other than that, it's good. I played some golf this past weekend. Shot pretty well until I didn't. Had some fun there, so that helped take my mind off some things. We did that outing that I was talking about.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, we didn't even come close to winning, but we didn't finish in last either. So we were doing pretty good until we weren't. And that's how golf goes. But watched a little golf last weekend while you guys were on the doing the
Hot tag.
hot tag. Yes, and I was talking a little bit of shit in the thing there. I was drinking a little bit, so
You're
if I said
kidding.
anything stupid, I apologize. You were like, get on. I was like, I'm watching golf. Plus, it was like I was in the middle of cooking too, and it's like, man, if I turn this thing on, I ain't gonna be able to turn it off until they're done. I'm like, shit, I can't do this right now. I got shit on the grill, and I've been drinking, and golf's on the TV. Otherwise, I would have joined you guys. It sounded like a pretty good show. But
It was a good time. Let me just say real quick, Tim. On behalf of my family, on behalf of the entire network, we would like to extend our condolences to your family in such a unfortunate circumstance. I mean, this is part of life. We know that. But damn, man, when it happens, it really puts life in perspective. So especially with Father's Day rolling right around the corner, just let me say how sorry I am for your loss, for your family's loss, and you guys are most definitely going to be in my thoughts and prayers. So I just wanted to make mention of that. But as far as shit, weeks at work or shit days at work, I told you before we came on the air, it's been a week, and it seems like it's across the board. Like everybody that I've talked to has had something going on at their place of employment this week. It's just, god damn, man. It's but it also allows me to reshift my focus and prioritize what's truly important, right? So I get that, but that's why we do this, because this is going to wind up being our escape from all the BS that we're forced to deal with. So we're going to sit here and talk sports for the next hour or so. I can't think of a better way to get that off our plates for the next little bit. So
yeah, I've been looking forward to this. So we'll get deep today.
Yeah,
like Aaron Rodgers deep. We'll start talking about
there
our
it
brain
is.
frequencies, and we're gonna go do some ayahuasca. We're gonna trip balls, and we're gonna see little people. The little people comment is for Dave there, and Dave, thank you for your comment there, brother. And it's good to see you on this week.
Is that where you want to start this week? Aaron Rodgers has signed.
We might as well.
Yeah, signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not really a huge shock,
No, I called this one months ago. So,
you did.
Yeah.
When I saw the news, I turned around and looked at my girl. I'm like, Tim called this, and so it was no surprise. There were several teams that were kind of dipping their toe in the water in the Aaron Rodgers pool, I guess, as you can say. But he was rumored to be going to everywhere from the New York Giants to possibly Denver. What was mentioned for half a cup of coffee, but looks like Pittsburgh is going to be where he's going to wind up. This is not going to be a long-term thing, I can't imagine, but
I think it was a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
to start out. Yeah.
Upon news, what does this do for Pittsburgh in terms of their hopes and their anticipations coming into the new season?
Well, honestly, like, no knock on Aaron Rodgers. He didn't have a very successful run with the Jets there, but it's the Jets. You know what I mean? I think between ownership and coaching and everything else, they got some issues beyond what Aaron Rodgers could do. But Pittsburgh was already a stacked team, and they've become more stacked over the offseason. I think the biggest giveaway of me calling that Rodgers was going there was the simple fact that they didn't draft anybody and they didn't sign anybody in the offseason for quarterback.
Right.
So they were sitting there signing receivers. They're drafting a bunch of people. They're getting ready for the season, and they're not going after a quarterback. So I mean, Aaron Rodgers is out there. I think it was something that was agreed upon months ago before even the draft that the two were going to come together and he was going to sign there this year. It just wasn't made official until recently, until he put ink to paper. But yeah, I really think Rodgers is going to look really good in Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh's going to really have a good run this year. They always have a good run. We've talked about this before, how Tomlinson is not he's a good coach. I mean, he's never had a losing season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I want a chance to make the Steelers have a losing. Oh, there we go. Now he's talking. When's the last time they've had a losing? I mean, I don't, and they haven't had a losing season in a long ass time. Like, that's a good program, and it's only gotten better in the offseason. So they're going to be a threat, this year. And I think Rodgers is going to look really good there. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think he's gonna shine there for at least a year. Maybe he'll get another year extension. Who knows? But do they make it to the Super Bowl? My opinion, no. But I think they're going to have a really good season.
This is as good of a fit for him as there could be out there, in my opinion. And if we can get everybody on one page between the coaching staff, him, the players that are going to be around him. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I am, they've been underneath the Lions for me as far as my fandom is concerned. I'm optimistic if I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I have not generally been an Aaron Rodgers fan just because of who he played for the majority of his career, that being the Green Bay Packers, being a division rival and a thorn in the side of the Lions for years and years and years. You can't deny what the guy is. You can't deny the talent that he has, and there is going to be a place in Canton for him when it's all said and done. Optimism is very high right now for Pittsburgh, and I've always respected the team. I've respected the legacy of the team, and I gotta believe, Tim, that's whenever a change like that is made, like, their legacy has to be taken into consideration, because they're not going to bring in somebody that's going to just blow everything up from the inside out. Pittsburgh is a very proud franchise.
Yes.
Very historic, very, very successful. So with all that being said, this was a good fit for Rodgers. This was a good fit for Pittsburgh. I expect them to be knocking on the door of the AFC Championship game when it comes down to it, bearing any major injuries or setbacks. It's hard to tell, because we haven't even started preseason at this point. But just throwing shit at the wall, this is where I'm at with it. I do see, if everything goes according to plan, I do see them at least knocking on the door of the AFC title game. Will they be in it? Well, that remains to be seen. You got the Chiefs, you've got the Ravens, you've got a lot of high-powered teams in the AFC.
The Bengals and the Bills. Yeah. Like, that's the only reason why I say I don't think they'll make it to the Super Bowl, is because the AFC is so stacked. Like, all your premier quarterbacks, in my opinion, are all in the AFC. Like, between Mahomes to Burrow to Allen to Jackson, like, these guys are going to be tough for Rodgers to beat. And I'm surprised that he went the AFC route and not tried to sneak back into the NFC because of that.
Right. No, I'm 100% with you on that. It was weird to see when he was signed with the Jets. It was weird to see Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Green Bay Packer, now affiliated with an AFC team.
Yeah.
But this is the way the game is played, and this is what happens, and it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in the Pittsburgh scheme of things. So I'm looking forward to it. I just to see what happens. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe he has a resurgence of his career. Finds a way to take the Steelers to the Super Bowl. Who knows? You have a big goddamn hill to climb if you're going to go that route, though. And it starts, I got to believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be, well, hi, Izzy. This is going to be this is going to be very interesting for the AFC. This really does widen the possibilities even more because
Yeah.
Rodgers is not, he's not somebody to be taken lightly.
No, he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. I mean, I can't knock him because he was a Packer for so long. You know what I mean? I was never a big fan of him as a Packer either, but as a player, he's one of the best to ever do it.
Right.
We got Jason Cloyd here just said Lions and Bengals in Super Bowl. I agree with the Lions part. Bengals ain't making it. They're not going to make it past Mahomes or Allen anymore. So they're kind of at a loss there. But it'd be kind of interesting to see a Lions Steelers Super Bowl and to watch the Lions shut down Aaron Rodgers one more time.
Wouldn't that be something though? On the big stage of the Super Bowl, the Lions shut down Aaron Rodgers on the biggest stage.
Yeah,
that would be incredible. Jason Cloyd, he's of all my friends, man. Like I've known him the longest, and I really respect his opinion and what he looks at when he's looking at the NFL. The Lions, though, we've talked about it on the air here. The NFC Championship is waiting for them. They've got to get over that hump, and I don't know. I have a feeling that this could very well be that year. So it would not surprise me at all if the NFC Championship is represented by Honolulu Blue and Silver. So,
God, I hope so. That's the dream, isn't it? That's what we're all sitting back just fucking waiting for. Us. Like, just give it to us finally. Like, in my lifetime, I just want to see the Lions go to the Super Bowl. Like, I know in your lifetime, in all of our lifetimes, it's never happened. So, like, all of us want to see this shit. So, let's get it done this year. We have a team that's stacked this year. We have a team that can make it. We have a coach that can, push us to it. And it's time to get it done. And speaking about coach, I'm still, Dan Campbell putting it out there in the universe. One day, buddy, one day we need to have you on this podcast because I got a million fucking questions for you. But just one more universal plug to try to get Dan Campbell on our podcast. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. I mean, everything I'm hearing out of OTAs is the Lions are looking really good. JMO apparently is maybe put on a little bit of mass this year and is looking really good. Everybody's talking crazy about JMO this year. So I think hopefully he has a standout year. Laporte is looking really good. Like everybody's looking really, really good. Apparently, like from what I'm hearing, that even Jared Goff is looking a little bit more mobile this year. I don't know if that's possible, but God, I hope so, because a little bit more mobile Jared Goff would go a long way. He's one of the best passers in the league, but my God, he is not athletic at all. So maybe he worked this season trying to become a little bit more athletic. Maybe, he was doing something. Who knows? That would be exciting because if he can that would make the Lions even better.
Doesn't surprise me that that's something that they've been working on in this offseason because that's been the biggest criticism about Goff.
Yeah.
Great thrower, great arm, accurate as all get out, but not very mobile. And the other teams have picked up on that. The other teams are counting on him staying in that pocket or staying in one spot. If you can get him mobile and still be just as accurate, well, that's a whole nother layer of danger that he brings to each and every game.
Yeah.
I actually got into a conversation right after we did the last show about Jared Goff. And, to be transparent, the individual that I was talking to was a Chicago Bears fan. Like that is his team. And he said, look,
they actually exist.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there, outside the metropolitan Chicago area.
Yeah.
But he said, the Bears have the Lions number this year, and he was doing some shit talking because of Ben Johnson and all this other stuff, which is great. Keep running that mouth because, but he was saying we have Goff pegged. Well, who's we? Are you on the team? Are you suiting up every Sunday? Just those little jabs. But my point here is, if he is able to be mobile and he is able to add another layer to his repertoire, the Lions are going to be even that much more dangerous and even a bigger favorite to win the NFC this year. So it's going to be interesting. I would love to see a Lions Steelers Super Bowl.
It'd be fun. I mean, my
Yeah.
dream would be a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. That's one I've been waiting for, because either way, I don't lose. You know what I mean? Although
Right.
I would be like devastated if the Lions didn't win it, in all honesty, because they're still my number one team. But it would, even if they lost it, I just had to comment on that. Maybe he did. Maybe they'd take the braces off this year and let the boy run around a little bit. Because let me tell you, Jared Goff is one of the most accurate passers in the league. His percentage of completions under pressure, everything else, he's one of the best in the league. He just don't have the legs, man. If he could just escape a pocket, that's kind of like if he had half of what Stafford had when it came to being mobile. Stafford was always one that could escape a pocket. He could, juke a tackle and still complete a pass. Once Jared Goff stays in that pocket for too long, that they're on him and he can't do anything but fall over. You know what I mean? Every once in a while you'll see him take off running, but he don't run fast. The guy's not fast at all. It's like, remember when Amon-Ra threw him that touchdown pass last year? You look like a slow child running across the field. I'm like, how the fucking the DB not even catch up to him there? But it worked out, you know what I mean? But yeah, I still wouldn't pass up. I still love Jared Goff. I wouldn't have any other quarterback for this team. He leads this team. He is one of the most accurate in the league. He's a gunslinger. He can read defenses really well. The team has just become so much better with him, under center. And I'm happy that he is here with us. I always liked him when he played for the Rams. I always picked him on. I told you before, I picked him on my fantasy team every year because the guy throws for a shit ton of yards every year. So he's great in fantasy football. So yeah, it's this could be a special year this year. Again, every year we say that, but this year I think we're gonna have a lot of special years. For the next, who knows, however long, as long as Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Goff is our Tony Romo. Damn it, Dave. Speaking of Tony Romo, that guy's actually a hell of a golfer.
Is he? Because he's not much of a commentator. So hopefully he's got something going for him.
The hell of a golfer. He slightly could almost turn pro. He's that good of a golfer.
Oh, damn. Well, in the lieu of Dave's comment about Forrest Gump, let me just say, run, Jared, run.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a fun season, I feel like, for the Detroit Lions, for the National Football League. But before we get there, we have another Detroit team that is generating increasingly more headlines with each passing day, it seems like. And of course, we're referring to the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, God, I thought you were talking about the Michigan Panthers who are going to the championship game.
Oh, you know what? Let's mention that since we're talking about football. Yes, the Michigan Panthers will be representing the USFL conference in the UFL championship game this coming weekend. Give me 1 second here.
All right, I got you.
What are you doing? Get out. Get out. You have a comment on this? Yeah, you're funny. Get. Oh, thank you. I needed that. You want to say hi?
Yes.
Say hi.
Hi.
Everybody heard you. The whole world heard you.
Okay.
That's my buddy Tim. Okay, bye. Little run in there by my friend Izzy. So, listen, you never know what's going to happen here on the Sports Real podcast. Yeah, Michigan Panthers are going to be vying for the UFL championship. They've been pretty much the best team in the league this year, which has been something extraordinary, because especially in this area, there really hasn't been a lot of mainstream love for the UFL. But now that the Michigan Panthers are going to be in the championship game, there's at least eyeballs on the product now.
Yes.
So yeah, very exciting. I did watch a lot of that game last weekend with Birmingham, and I Was it Birmingham they were playing?
It might have been.
Yeah.
I think because we lost to them earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be very cool. Hopefully, they can bring home a football championship
It'd be
to
nice.
Ford Field, and that's
Yeah.
only going to even add more motivation to the other residents of our football stadium in downtown. So this is becoming football town here in Detroit, Michigan. So it's going to be very cool to see.
Yep.
So let me see if I can pull up what exactly when they're going to be playing. I know it's Sunday, I believe. UFL championship game. Damn.
Yeah, hopefully they're not playing this weekend. Shit. This is a U.S. Open this weekend. Damn. We'll get into that a little bit later. I'll spend 2 minutes on golf.
Okay. It is Saturday, June the 14th at 8 p.m. The USFL champion Michigan Panthers are going to be playing the XFL champion St. Louis Battlehawks. And it's going to be played at the Dome at America's Center in St. Louis. Well, that's interesting.
Oh, God, nobody's played there in years.
The Dome, it says here too, the Dome used to be the home of the NFL's Rams before they moved to Los Angeles. It has a capacity of 67,000 in that building. So I don't suspect they're going to sell out this game.
Maybe it's a championship game. You know what I mean? It's like, and St. Louis is, you know, they're probably really behind because they don't have an NFL team. So, you know, it's probably a really big thing to have football back there since they built that stadium for NFL games, and now they don't have an NFL team. So it's nice to see a team back there, and maybe they stand out and they pack the place. Who knows? Or they give away a shit ton of free tickets to pack the place.
Well, that's going to be that too. They're going to paper the shit out of that area for especially in the morning of the game. You know, because they're not going to want to have a national broadcast and have a quarter full stadium.
Yeah,
that's why I was so glad. Number one, when the XFL was originally formed, they had. Like St. Louis was the first market they locked down because St. Louis loves their football. I always felt so bad for them when the Rams moved back to LA because, you know, you see the reports, you hear people's, you know, testimonials. Football's a big damn deal in St. Louis. So when the XFL put the Battlehawks in there and then they brought them back with this merger to create the UFL, I was on board with it, man. And they are statistically one of the most popular teams in the UFL. So it's almost poetic. You've got the absolute two most popular and storied franchises of their respective conferences vying for this brand new football championship. So I think it's from a storyline, it's a winner right out of the gate in my view.
Yeah.
They do have some bad names in the XFL, UFL.
Yeah, some of these they should have thought them out a little bit better. Like I think there was just a rush to get some teams, and they're like, "What the fuck can we call them?" You know, I mean, the Battlehawks. Yeah, that sounds tough.
I remember the original XFL that Vince initially brought out in 2001, and you know you had the Orlando Rage and you had the Memphis Maniacs. Although that was my team, I latched onto the Memphis Maniacs. They won one game, I think. I don't know, man. Like there's a trend.
You have a thing there.
I do.
If the team is the complete shits, Jason is the biggest fan.
I am
You'd
all
be the
about
fucking
the
Carolina Panthers,
Colorado
Rockies.
Oh, I know. Listen, I always root for that ultimate underdog. You know what I mean?
Gotta have some level of hope here. You
Well,
just like
that-
misery. That's what you like. You like misery.
No, I'll tell you what it is, because when that day comes, and Colorado has sniffed a little bit of success, they've been to 2 World Series, and everybody latched onto them when that happened. I'm like, you all can fuck right off, because I was here from day one on 16 win seasons and blah blah blah. So yeah,
Yeah, I got you. All right, so let's go to our home team here, the Tigers. Still rolling.
still maintains the dominance over Major League Baseball. I had pulled up their ratings here. Let me go ahead and share this, Tim. I've got the league standings up.
Dave said Colorado has sniffed a little bit of glue.
Dave, I feel like it's the thin atmosphere in Denver that's
and don't worry, Dave. As soon as we're done with baseball here, we'll get to the PBA for you, brother.
yeah, for sure. As you can see here, you can see this here, right?
Yep.
Okay, all right. The top 5: the Detroit Tigers, New York Mets, New York Yankees, Chicago Cubs, and the Los Angeles Dodgers has remained pretty consistent. It's just who is shuffling underneath the Tigers right now. And with a half a game lead over the Mets, and this is for the entire league as a whole. If we were to dial it in to the American League Central, they have an 8-game lead over the Minnesota Twins. So I mean, Detroit is firing on all cylinders, man. They had a pretty decent week last week. The last 10 games, they went 6-4. They're on a 2-game win streak. They had a big series win over the Cubs. Over 120,000 people visited Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, last weekend for the Tigers and Cubs series. And Tim, a lot of people from national broadcasters to more local ones, what we saw last weekend is a preview of the World Series. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I could see that, and I'm glad that Detroit's actually getting some recognition now. I keep seeing betting odds like Detroit's like 80% favored to win the World Series this year, just because they're so dominant. But yeah, I'm glad that they're getting that national recognition. As you say, you're starting to hear them a lot more now, so people are taking them fucking serious. So yeah, you could see a preview of World Series there. Yeah, at least in Detroit, because we're going to have some World Series games in Detroit this year.
Damn Skippy, we are. And
Yep.
if we can't get tickets into Comerica Park, you can damn well bet your ass that at some point we're going to be in the city of Detroit, in the vicinity of Comerica Park. If we have to live stream in the parking lot, we are live streaming in the parking lot. I'm going to make something happen, because there's something very, very special happening right now. And I don't want to miss out on it. I know you don't. And
Yeah, no, not at all.
hundreds of thousands of fans who have been clamoring for this, especially when we saw what they did last season, when they had no business being where they were. In August, they had a 0.10% of making it to the playoffs. They knocked on the door of the ALCS. Man, they are firing. And I have told you, I don't know how many times in the last however many weeks, man, we are seeing shit that we haven't seen since 1984, and we haven't seen since 2006. And I am here for it. As we look at the American League standings, they have a 2.5-game lead over the Yankees. No surprise here. The Chicago White Sox are, they're in the basement of the American League. You head over to the National League. This is what surprises me. The New York Mets, not the Dodgers, are the number 1 team in the National League right now with a 2.5-game lead over the Chicago Cubs. Now, if we were to dial that in by division, the Cubs are well in control of the NL Central. But it's very interesting to see how the National League is shaping up at this point. We are now in the second week of June. All-Star break is right around the corner. And I expected that the Dodgers were going to be at the top of the National League. To my surprise, at my delight, the Cubs are starting to bring all the pieces, all together, and they're starting to. I mean, they're one of the best teams in all of baseball, and it's refreshing because it's not your super team. It's not, all these other teams are trying to jockey for third, fourth, fifth place, but up top you got the Mets, you got the Cubs. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this winds up being the NLCS, barring any major injuries or anything like that. So it's kind of cool to see, new teams at the top vying for prominence
Well,
in their respective.
I'd like to see a Tigers Cubs World Series. We already know that the Cubs can't beat them in a series. So, but then again, I said last week I don't think anybody out there right now in baseball can beat the Tigers in a series. So, it's one thing, they might steal a game or two, but they're not going to beat them in a series overall.
No, certainly not. Not the way that they've been playing. They're getting lights out pitching. The bats are connecting with the ball. I don't know, man. Like, even games where they're going into it later in the later innings, they're really finding ways to win. And a couple of years ago, once they got past, it seemed like once they got into such a deficit, they just kind of went into like they were phoning it in. Just get the 27 ounce, so let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That's not the case with this team. So it's kind of cool to see the best team in baseball, the ones that get the highlights, the ones that are getting all this national attention, national love. They're wearing the old English D now, and I don't know, man. It's been a long time coming. It almost feels like I have to pinch myself. Like, is this really fucking happening? But it is, and this has been a very enjoyable baseball season so far. David asked, "How about them Reds?" Ironically, I've been seeing a lot more highlights from the Cincinnati Reds over, on TikTok. Not because I follow the team, but they're obviously making noise in some regard. I've been seeing a lot of clips of the Reds. I actually want to go down to Cincinnati sometime this summer. I've never been to Great American Ballpark, and it's a couple-hour drive down I-75. Why the hell would we not do this?
Yeah.
So that might be like a day trip coming up here sooner rather than later. I do have a week off in July, so that might be a thing. You want to go see a Reds game?
Oh, possibly. Just depends on when.
Right. Is Johnny Bench? Oh my God, what is wrong with this guy? Oh man!
All right. So what time? Oh no, we still got the time.
Yeah.
It's only 7:22. We're cruising through subjects today, but yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I got lost in thought. But yeah, Detroit still just fucking rolling right along. And it's exciting to see. Every day is, I wake up and I just see, every morning I wake up and I have my little Alexa show in the kitchen, and it posts sports scores, and it's always like Tigers won, and it has a score. I'm like, holy fuck, they fucking won again. They won again. They just seem to be unstoppable, and it's fun, and it's going to be exciting coming up here pretty soon to see what they do during this break here. Because I think we're going to be buyers. So where do you think they're gonna? What do you think they need? Like, what do you think they're going to shop for here? You think we're going to get a little bit more in the bullpen? Maybe get another starter, somebody high end. They're definitely going to be buyers. Or do you think they just kind of roll with what they have and save some money? Because I know they're going to have to pay Skubal. So how much money do you want to spend? I mean, you could spend a little bit to get a rental player this year. But like, what are they going to do? Where do you think we need help at this year?
I wouldn't mind one more strong starter. if we had one more, and it could be a veteran, like you're saying, like a rental deal, just something to get us over that hump.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go the pitch, because I mean our bullpen has been pretty consistent. And our starters have been good. Um, I wouldn't mind another big bat, and I wouldn't mind another strong starter. So if your management, what has more relevance? What is a more priority to you? And we are going to be buyers because the owners are seeing how close we came with what we had, and that's not shitting on what we had last year. But now that we can see that we can do this with the players that we have, it's who knows what kind of deals are already in the works, who's going to be made available, who's going to be up for trade, or who's going to be released, or who knows what goes on. I feel like this is the first year that we're going to be big time buyers. Like nothing is off the table. They will figure it out because they want the World Series so goddamn bad. And we have the right people in place. We have a good manager in AJ Hinch. We have good ownership who is supporting AJ Hinch, who, I mean, we have all the pieces in place. Get everybody around the round table, and let's make this thing happen. It could backfire too, as we've seen with the bigger markets like LA and New York and Boston. But this team's built different, man. And we talked about it at great length last week. The entire sports landscape in Detroit is different. It's built different. It's all for one. It ain't just one. I don't know. I like I said, either on another strong bat with veteran experience, or a good starter. Somebody that we can rely on, especially going into the playoffs, that you can count on to bring out of the bullpen in an eighth inning relief or something like that.
So do we go rent Verlander for the rest of the year? Wouldn't that be a trip?
It would be, but man, that price tag attached to him specifically. Although Verlander's pissing me off. I don't mind telling you. He goes out there and he says, I love Detroit, and I have no doubt that he does. But he was going to end his career here, so we were all thinking, all right, he's coming back to Detroit. I mean, the rumor mill really started spiraling out of control in the last offseason, thinking that he's coming back here. And then he winds up signing with the Giants. I feel, as much as I would love to have him back, that I don't know if he would be able to produce to justify the price tag that would come with it. You feel me?
Depends on the price. Where are the Giants sitting in the standings right now? Let's bring that back up real quick, or at least to let us know where they stand. I don't even know if they'd go after Verlander anyways. He's a 40-something-year-old starting pitcher. You know what I mean? They'd probably go after somebody a little bit more youthful. But it'd be kind of neat to see Verlander back in a Detroit uniform. And if they're not sitting very high, maybe, I'm talking a rental player. I'm not talking about signing somebody full on. You know what I mean?
The Giants are in second place in the NL West, one game behind the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's not going to happen then. They're still vying for it. So yeah, you're going to look for a team, hotshot starting pitcher on a team that's not doing very well that might want to give up somebody as a rental player for the year, because I don't see them signing somebody to bring on long term or finishing out a contract, only because they have to re-sign Skubal, and you got to find the money to do that. And if they win the World Series, the money's probably going to be there because the fandom's going to be back in full fledged, which it is this year. So they're pulling in some money. You know what I mean? They're packing that stadium almost every game. It's fun to watch. I've been there at those times when that stadium is completely fucking packed, and I've been there when there's a few thousand people in the stadium. And right now is when they're making their money, so they can afford to spend a little bit of money. So to the Illiches, you need to come up off that fucking money, spend a little bit of money, and let's win this thing, because the time is now.
I could not agree more. Could not agree more. And I just for Dave's sake, I took a peek at where the Reds were at. Um, they're not at the bottom of their division, but they ain't far from it either. So
They're not too hot. So they're slightly pink right now. They're not red.
slightly pink, yes.
Yes, it's the Cincinnati slightly pinks.
Oh, it's a
All
great
right.
one.
Baseball. Let's move on from baseball now because I think we've got our baseball fixed for the week. That's not your call. Nope. What the fuck, dude? I can't figure out these fucking buttons.
All right.
It's
Well,
you.
here we go with our headlines from the PBA for our good friend Dave. Andrew Anderson won the 2025 PBA Tour Finals. Tom Doherty wins the USBC Senior Masters title. Congratulations to him. And what else they got on here? The 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. Damn, that's a mouthful. The premier event for bowlers of all skill levels is returning to Chicago. Join them. Bowler Row Mount Prospect for the National Destination Tournament happening every weekend from May 31st through July the 13th. So there's your PBA report for this week.
Fuck yeah. And hold on, I got one. This is a new one. It's Tim's 30 seconds of soccer talk. Who gives a fuck?
All right, well, let's move on to speaking of not giving a fuck, let's go look at the NBA Finals. No, I can't really say that. There has been an uptick in viewership for the NBA Finals.
It's good for the NBA. You know what I mean? It's they need to do something because fuck.
I think Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers have really put a lot of new attention on the NBA Finals this year. This kid has been all over the place. I was listening to the WWE podcast that they do after Monday Night Raw. They actually had him on there talking at great length. He's a big wrestling fan. But it's like, man, that's when you know you're making noise, when you got other entities reaching out on that level and having you on their podcast. But right now, pardon me, it looks as if the series is tied with game 3 here tonight at 8:30 on ABC. It is going to be in Indiana. It's not going to be one-sided, I don't think. They've split the first 2 games here. Oklahoma City really wants to bring home their championship. I did see some highlights, and the fans are showing up for it. The fans are showing up in Indianapolis. This is the kind of finals I was hoping that we were going to get. There's a lot of hardcore fan attention, but you also have new fans that are paying attention. And I think it's because your super teams are out of it. So we're going to see something extraordinary by the time this thing is all said and done, and I'm here for it. Have you been paying attention to the NBA Finals?
I haven't been able to watch it, of course, but yeah, I've been paying attention to the thing, and obviously I'm rooting on the Pacers here. So just because that's the team I'm latching onto this one, and it's it looks like it's going to be a good series, to be honest. Like everybody at first thought OKC was going to run away with this thing, but doesn't look like it's going to be that way, and I think there's a good chance they could possibly lose tonight, being in Philly. And it's not Philly. Indy. I don't know why I said Philly. My brain's toast. But yeah, being in Indy tonight. But yeah, I think they could. I've been spending time scouting the bowling alleys. It's been a long time since I've been in a bowling alley, Dave. I used to bowl quite frequently, but it's been a while. But I could get back to scouting them out. I think Indy wins tonight, you said?
Yes, sir.
I think I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and I think Indy's going to win it in 6. That's what I'm going to say.
I think that's what I had said last week as well.
I think so too. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we're on the same page with the NBA. Neither one of us watch it. Neither one of us are really deeply connected to it, unless it's the Pistons. But right now, I think I'm latching on to Indy here, and I hope they win it. And I'm still hoping Reggie Miller comes out of retirement.
I saw a clip of Reggie Miller. He was sitting, I don't know, somebody was taping him, or it was one of their security cameras or whatever, but they were in his living room watching the game. And it was the one, the last second shot or what have you. And the way he jumped up off that couch, I was like, all right, maybe he still does still have some hops. Maybe they could bring him in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Give him something there. Let him come out and at least clock in for like 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Just like, let's bring some nostalgia back to the NBA.
it would be cool for him to see the Pacers win the NBA championship. He is low key one of the all-time greats. Like he was very, very, very good, but he was overshadowed until it came time to shine.
Well, he played in an era that was, dominated by, Michael Jordan. So,
right.
he played in a wrong time, wrong place.
Well, Dave just gave me a great idea, so now I'm gonna have to look into that. I'll let you read his last comment there. We'll see what we can do there.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great idea.
I know some people that could fill that bill. You know what I mean?
This reminds me of that one podcast idea I had.
Yes, sir.
With the Amish hockey player, Amish professional hockey. That still might come to fruition, so I don't want to give away too much.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's switch gears real quick. Let's look and see what's going on with the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, America.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Very, very possible.
Got the red, white, and blue just waving through the air there, Jason.
The Florida
got
Panthers
me excited to the core.
Are you though?
Yeah, I mean, it's America versus Canada. I mean, this is like fucking Rocky versus fucking
Drago.
Ivan Drago. Like this is it. This is the final showdown.
I don't know if I would put it quite on that level, but
it has the same impact, Jason. Same impact.
What are we doing right now? The world remembers Rocky IV. They're not going to remember who won the Stanley Cup this time next year unless you're in that city. I'm just kidding. The Florida Panthers.
Probably true, actually.
Yeah, actually kind of is. The Panthers have a 2-1 lead over the Edmonton Oilers. And the next game is going to be tomorrow night on TNT, True TV, Max, and CBC. 8 o'clock, they're going to drop the puck here in Florida. Florida has showed up for this more than I thought they would. I'll be straight up. I called this. I said that this game was going to go the distance too, or this series was going to go the distance too. But from what I saw, if Florida continues this momentum and they keep playing with the fire that they brought the other night, Edmonton's in deep shit. And I had said, I had gone on record, even though they're a Canadian team, I said Edmonton was going to win this, and I was steadfast on that. But after seeing the way the Panthers have been playing, I can't say that with all the convention in the world anymore. Do they have a chance? Yes, but they got to find a way to slow Florida down. Otherwise, this thing is going to be over by the time we come back on the air next week, and we're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup returning to the state of Florida. First, it was Tampa Bay. Now it's with the Panthers. So that's kind of where we're at here.
All I have to say is you were wrong from the beginning. It's going to be an American team. It's got to be. I mean, we have an American Pope now, so God's on our side. We're going to have an American Stanley Cup holder. And that's just the way it is. Dave's got me cracking up here in chat here. He's the Lancaster Barn Builders, great Amish hockey team. There's Zamboni as a draft horse pulling a blade. Fucking love it. I love it. Love it. But yeah, America. No, I feel the same way. I've actually been able to sit down and watch some of these because they put them on Max. So I have Max, so I have the ability to watch some of these games. I haven't watched the full one yet because obviously most of them go on pretty late, and I'm an old ass man and I go to bed kind of early. Work sucks, and I got to wake up early and run chase to school and everything else. So I try to get my sleep in. You know what I mean? Sleep's important. Try to get at least 8 hours a night. You know what I mean? It's healthy. You got to stay healthy. 8 hours of sleep. I mean, yours, I say night, you sleep in the day, you know, it's kind of the same thing. It's just different time zones. It's probably harder for you. I've never asked you, how do you like working nights? I mean, off subject here. Yeah, you're used to it, but do you find it kind of hard to sleep, or do you find yourself having a lack of sleep because you're working nights?
There's definitely a lack of sleep. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of that I bring on myself,
Yeah.
you know, because the last thing that I need to do is I get out of work and just go right to bed, and then I sleep the entire day away until I have to get up and start doing my duties, you know. So there are days where, like, no shit, I'll get 90 minutes of sleep.
Oh, fuck,
Like,
fuck all that.
That's just the way it is. But I've been doing this for so long now, my body's used to it. I know it ain't good, and I can feel that it's not good, but I've made it work. I've made it work with my schedule. I've made it work with my girlfriend's, schedule. So I'm available to her. My kids, you know, I try, because as shitty as it is, I would prefer to work midnights than afternoons, because even though I would get normal sleep during normal sleep hours, I missed everything.
Yeah, afternoon shift sucks. I did that for many years, and I was not a fan of afternoons because you're like, all you end up doing is working the majority of the day when you could get shit done, and then you're up half the night, and then you sleep all morning. So it's kind of like off, but like I just didn't know, and I knew that was off topic there, but I've worked some midnight shifts in my day, and I always felt like I fucking got to sleep through the day, and that's when you need to get everything done. So it's like it makes it hard to try to get your duties done or go do running or anything else you got to do because you need to sleep, but everything's closed when you're at work.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what fucks me up more than anything is when I get like a weekend off.
Oh yeah, because then you start readjusting your sleep schedule. Yeah.
Yep. And then you got to turn around and get right back into the. So those days are a little bit rough, but you know, for the most part, it is what it is. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time now on this shift, and it does work. Is it ideal? No, but the shift premium makes it nice, so I don't bitch too much. You know.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that's what's going on with Edmonton right now. Maybe most of them are working nights and they're forgetting to play during, you know, the afternoon hours because America's going to run away with this. I don't even call them the Florida Panthers. They're the American Panthers versus the Canadian Oilers because it's America versus Canada right now, and America's going to come out on top.
America. Well, it's very possible. Like
God bless the USA.
Florida maintains this momentum. We're going to be talking about Stanley Cup Championship Parade next week here on the Sports Real podcast, which you hear exclusively here on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Hell yeah.
All right. That's the NHL report. We've covered the NBA. We've covered the PBA. We've covered the NFL. That leads us to
Tim's 2 minutes of golf talk, which I was not prepared for you. I'm going to be honest with you. If you give me 1 second, though, I'll be very prepared for it because we're going to go over the tournament last week real quick because we had the RBC Canadian Open last week, which Fox won, Burns in second, you in third. Young came in fourth. Big Dick Swinging Young came in fourth. You'd have to like hear my wife, like we talk about this guy all the time because he has a massive wears too tight of pants, shows everything.
Oh,
That's why the women love him. McCarty in 4th, Putman in 6th, all the way down with Ann Manacero. God, there's some crazy names in the PGA. Hodges, no big names in the top 10. We got Shane Lowry in 13th. And then down the line, Ben Griffin, who had been doing actually, that's not even Ben Griffin. Where the fuck is Ben Griffin? He might not even played this week. That's another Griffin. There's a couple Griffins, I guess. One in 27th. Too many players played in this motherfucker. But I wanted to talk about Rory McIlroy, who did not do so hot in this tournament. He had a couple weeks off, and he came back and thought he was going to power through this thing. And he didn't even make the cut. I'm trying to find him on this list. He's way down towards the bottom. It's not even gonna tell me where he's at because he didn't make the cut, but I know he shot like a 9 over on Friday or some shit. Was not his best showing, which, let's see how he turns it around this week, because now I want to get into this week, which is a big week in golf because we're in a majors week. We got the U.S. Open starting tomorrow. With Rory having such a bad week last week, and they're going to Oakmont this week, Oakmont Country Club, which is known to be one of the hardest courses on tour, and they've just kind of really stepped up their game and made it even harder this week. And I've been seeing a lot of shit on TikTok, a lot of people talking about how hard this course is going to be. We're anticipating that the winning score is probably going to be, I'm going to guess, maybe 5 under. I think cut line's going to be about 6 over. So it's going to be a tough course even for the pros. Greens are moving really fast, and the rough is horrendous. Like, you watch videos, they'll drop the ball in that rough and you can't even see it. Like, you got to like move the grass apart to find the ball down in there.
Damn.
So it's going to be a tough course. So it's going to be an exciting thing to see who is going to do really well on this course this week. Hopefully Rory kind of brings it back. Like, he's got a major win already this year and 2 tour wins already this year. So he's tied with Scotty already for wins this year. But I don't know if this course is going to necessarily favor him. The eyes, I keep saying these names every, major, the people that keep your eyes on, but I really think Bryson DeChambeau, he's got the game this year. He's been really accurate. He's been playing really, really well. And he's got the power to escape that rough, which you're going to have to hit the ball really hard to kind of escape that rough. So he's got the power to do that. And I think, once again, Scotty Scheffler, I think those two are going to be 2 names that are going to be battling this out by the end of this weekend, or high up on that leaderboard. You'll always have one person that you don't expect to be up there that's going to have a standout week, but it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Being the hardest course, but I anticipate that you're going to see some people after day one, maybe only see like somebody shooting 1 under, maybe 2 under. You're not going to see your normal week of like 9 under or 7 under on the first day. It's going to be tough. I don't know who you're watching.
No, there's a number of different things happening, and then this shit keeps popping up on my screen, and I'm like, okay, what is hell is happening right now? And I'm like, I hope my shit isn't about to crash.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. But anyways, yeah. So I'm thinking 5 under for the win. I think Scotty or Bryson are going to be sitting there leading the charge this week. Might see a Xander sneak in there, or even a Jordan Spieth. He's been coming along pretty well this year. It's just going to be how these guys handle this course, because it's going to be a really hard course to handle, and it's going to take somebody who has the ability to who has wrist control or club face control, like a Scotty or a Bryson, that can really tap into this course and stay in the fairways, because any miss hits on this one and you're going to get lost on this one real quick. So you're going to see some temper tantrums on this course this weekend. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe some club breaks, maybe some clubs being thrown into some water. It's going to be a tough one. So it'll definitely be fun to watch. I'll be spending pretty much from Thursday to Friday paying attention or Thursday through Sunday paying attention to this one. So it'll be a lot of fun. So anyways, that's what we're looking forward to. Hopefully by this time next week, we can either say Scotty won his second major for the year, or, Bryson has won a U.S. Open. So that is Tim's 2 minutes of golf talk.
But what I can tell you that we're going to talk about next week is we will be a week out from attending the Rocket Mortgage Classic in
Yes.
Detroit. So listen, I told you I had that shit circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to that. I am not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be cute. I know this is important to you. So if it's important to you, like it has my attention. And
It's going to be fun. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And it's going to be a good time. But we just got another request. So hold on. You got to give a NASCAR update. Dave wants a NASCAR update.
God damn it. All right, Dave, give me 1 second here. Let me pull something up. Let me see. You know what? I thought about that.
You know, the NASCAR is something that I used to watch a lot back in the day, but I don't follow it like I used to anymore. But back in the day when it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart and all them, like I used to follow it a lot.
All
Jeff
right.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be straight up with you. When everything happened with Dale Earnhardt, it kind of just took me out of it. Dale Earnhardt was, he was the face of NASCAR for a long time. And when everything happened with him, I just I got out of it. Not that I was really paying attention, but I recognized who he was and I followed what he was doing, and that was just such a huge goddamn blow. It's too bad. But then, I tried to latch on to Dale Jr. and I don't know, man. Like Jeff Gordon annoyed the hell out of me. I just got out of it, if I could be honest with you.
See, I was a huge Dale Jr. fan. I got the Budweiser racing jacket. I got all that shit from back in the day. So I got a ton of Dale Jr. stuff.
I did see this, and I had forgotten about it until I just pulled it up here. This last weekend was the Firekeepers 400 at the Michigan International Speedway. Denny Hamlin won this thing, and what came across my radar wasn't the fact that he won. It's what he did after he won. He completely trolled every fan in the stands that resides in the state of Michigan, because he did the Ohio State salute gimmick, and it just pissed a bunch of people off. Pissed them off it got way too serious for what it was. I mean, was he trolling them? Yeah, he was. But that's what he was supposed to do. People that were just up in arms about the whole thing, calm the fuck down, okay? It's not that deep. This coming Sunday, they got the Viva Mexico 250. That's going to be held in Mexico City, 100 laps for 241 miles. Let me see what the standings are real quick. I got caught off guard here, Dave, so forgive me. Right now, let's look at the top 10 drivers in NASCAR as of this afternoon. Number 1 is William Byron. Number 2 is Kyle Larson. 3, Denny Hamlin. We just talked about him. 4, Christopher Bell. 5, Chase Elliott. 6 is Tyler Reddick. 7, Ryan Blaney. 8 is Ross Chastain. 9, Joey Logano. And 10 is Bubba Wallace. Looks like Toyota is really dominating right now, the Toyota cars. And as somebody that works for one of the big 3, like, this hurts my heart, and this may be why I don't follow fucking NASCAR.
Hey,
what?
Toyota and Honda are the most American-made vehicles these days, so you can't knock them, brother.
I can, because it's the company that's based out of Detroit, Michigan, signs my paychecks. So that's where my allegiance is at. But you're absolutely right. That's the mind fuck of the whole thing.
Yeah.
The foreign-based models have the most American-made parts in them, and it's in some cases it's vice versa. What I'm building at the plant that I'm at is kind of 50-50. There's, half American and half not, and this is what we get. But because like I know who signs my paychecks, and that's I got to be somewhat respectful for that. Up until we become stupid rich doing podcasting, which that day's coming.
God only hope. I mean, the God only hope. Or I mean, I don't know. I'm just fucking rambling now. I only hope that God blesses us with that opportunity. So it would be nice.
I can give you an update. They drove around in a circle turning left.
Damn right. But hey, I do want to say something about NASCAR because I have had the opportunity in my life to go to Michigan International Speedway and do 10 laps in a stock car with me driving. And let me tell you, it's a lot harder than what it looks like. I don't know how the fuck these guys, because there was other people on the track at the same time, and thank God that I had an instructor in the car with me, sitting in the passenger side. Like, they put passenger side seats in these cars so he could give me hand signals, because I don't know how they don't just crash all the fucking time, because you're going so fucking fast. You don't know what the fuck is going on. And they do, like, people don't realize that they do have mirrors for the cars. They're just not on the outside. They're on the inside pillars. So you do have mirrors, but you don't have time to look at them. And everything is so fucking loud that you don't see it, that like you have to pay like a lot of attention just to stay on the fucking track. Because let me tell you, when you come out of a turn and you're going into that straightaway, that car fucking just fucking slingshots out of that turn up towards that wall. Like, I almost crashed into the wall off my first turn. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I did like 192 miles an hour at Michigan International Speedway, which when you're going down those straightaways going up to those, those turns, it looks like a fucking wall in front of you. But yeah, one of the coolest things I ever did. And I give those guys a shit ton of credit after I did it, because I go, this is harder than what it looks like. Like, it takes a lot to keep this car on the fucking track, and let alone with other cars around you. If I didn't have an instructor giving me hand signals saying somebody's coming up beside me, or, them radioing into the person in front of me to drop down lower on the track so I could pass them, because otherwise we would have just all been crashing into each other.
All right, let me get your take on this real quick, and then we'll start winding this down and putting a bow on it. NASCAR drivers.
Yeah.
Are they athletes?
Yeah. I think so. After doing 10 laps in a car, it takes some shit out of you. So it may not be as strenuous as hockey or football or, some of the other really, or even like my honest opinion, I think the most athletic sport out there is soccer, even though I give soccer shit. Like, those guys, what they do is insane. Like, for as much, they don't stop. They just run nonstop, like full speed for fucking hours. But like, yeah, like just doing 10 laps, that shit burns you out. You know what I mean? I still consider them athletes. It's just as much as athletes as I would consider, it would be like saying that some of these Olympic sports that we see are athletes. You know what I mean? Like curling. Like, we still call them athletes, right? So why is a NASCAR driver not an athlete just because they sit in a car and drive around in a circle?
That's been, it's been one of those conversations where you hear both sides of the equation. Yes, they are. No, they're not. They are because of what you had just laid out. Now, I'm glad that you told us that story, because you have firsthand experience of what that scenario feels like. So you're going to have a better understanding of it than I do, because I've never stepped foot into a NASCAR venue, let alone sitting in a car and actually driving around the track. I feel like they are athletes. They're putting their fucking lives on the line every single time they get behind the wheel. And I got to believe it takes a tremendous amount of focus and drive and will and skill. Not everybody can operate like that. I don't care if you are making left-hand turns for 500 laps or what have you. It doesn't make a shit bit of difference. That they are athletes. And while I don't follow the sport as closely as many others, I do respect the shit out of it. Because you look at NASCAR, where it started at, and I've seen documentaries,
yeah.
To see where it's at now, You can't not respect it.
Or even
So
at its height when it was, super popular back in the early 2000s. Like, 'cause that's, I think, was the height of NASCAR.
you think it can return to that?
I think so. You're gonna have to get the right drive. You're gonna have to get the right driver and somebody to really spark interest in it again. And I
That's
think
it.
that's what it's gonna take. It's just waiting for that right driver. I mean, right now we don't have the Dale Juniors or the Tony Stewarts or the Jeff Gordons. So until you find that name who's really gonna bring a lot of, you know, eyes back onto the sport, you're not gonna have that big jump like you had back then. Yeah, like he said, you need another Jeff Gordon. You need to get eyes on the sport. They need somebody as a standout to get back to that point. They'll do it eventually. It happens. I mean, every sport goes in their ups and down eras. I mean, I honestly, in my opinion, NBA is in a down era right now. They have the names, you know what I mean, but they've killed it. LeBron's killed it with the super teams and took an interest off the game because it's been the same people in the finals for so long. And this year is the first year where it's not in a while that it's not a fucking super team in the finals, and it's exciting again. People are getting excited by it. You know what I mean? So once you get those names in these sports, and you find that one person to latch on to that's really going to bring eyes, somebody who has a way with the media that can bring that attention. It's the same thing with any sports team. You know what I mean? You get one person on that team that can get that media attention that'll bring eyes to that team. It's going to be, build the whole genre of sport back up. So yeah, I think it'll get back, definitely, but not as long as Toyota's winning it all, because even though they're one of the most American made vehicles, it's still a fucking Toyota. That's not NASCAR.
Yeah.
It was always fucking Dodge, Chevy, and Ford. That was NASCAR. The big three.
Yeah.
Even though the big three is not even the big three anymore, because let's be honest, Chrysler's a fucking European company now. So
Stellantis. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, and this is the last thing we'll mention, what cracks me up, Jeff Foxworthy, the comedian, said that the reason why people did not like Jeff Gordon is because, I mean, let's face facts here. NASCAR is more, their popularity is below the Mason-Dixon line, right?
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Why Jeff Gordon was not as popular in the South as he was in the North is because he enunciates. I will never forget.
I remember that joke. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I do remember that one, but Dave just brought up a great point. He said Jake Paul getting into racing, and the good point is not so much as Jake Paul getting into racing, but it just shows that one name getting into a sport can change the sport. Jake Paul has brought so many eyes back to boxing and is making boxing mainstream again, even though maybe people are giving him shit because he's not fighting the biggest names in boxing, or he's fighting older fighters, or he's fighting MMA fighters. He's still bringing eyes back to that sport, and boxing's becoming popular again. So somebody on that line, I know Chase is dying for his mac and cheese, honey. I will be up there shortly to get it.
It's a family affair this week here on the show.
But yeah, it takes that one person to do something to bring eyes back on a sport, and you can build that sport back up. Right now, that's Jake Paul with boxing, and who knows who it's going to be for NASCAR, but it will happen. It's just a matter of time. Maybe it's Jeff Gordon again. Maybe he comes out of retirement and he enunciates some more.
All right. Well, let's get you out of here before you're.
Yeah, I got to make mac and cheese apparently.
Ass apart. Yeah.
Chase is bugging.
We appreciate everybody tuning in here this week, and for all the latest news and headlines around the sports world, check out and hit the like button, hit the share button on the Sports Reel Podcast Facebook page. If you have any correspondence with us, you can find us over on Facebook on the PFC Entertainment Network, pfcnetwork.net, or klaus-to-the-heart@gmail.com. With that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We'll see you next week right here on the Sports Reel Podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Go Tigers and go Panthers. Big game this weekend.
Big game.
Oh, diving next week, Dave wants.